Welcome to episode 74 of Beer with Strangers. I'm your host, Tony Russo, and I will be joined eventually by official pinch hitter Sean Hager, who is just out filling orders right now. And I'm also joined live here, remotely anyway, by Anthony Towey of ShoreCraftBeer.com and OceanCity.com.
How's it going, Tony? Good to be here.
Very well, welcome. Doug usually does the weather report. He's not here. But I'll tell you what the weather is. It's raining, and it's gonna keep raining that way for a long time. I'm going to adjust my position until Sean comes here, so I'm not hanging out on the fringes of the screen. So Anthony's joining us because he's going to join us regularly. We're eventually going to get it down where he's a regular on the show to bring us up to date on some of the stuff that's going over there on ShoreCraftBeer.com. As you may know, I'm a writer for ShoreCraftBeer.com. I do a blog called the State of the Beer blog, and they now also carry this podcast there, so you can catch us there if you can't catch us anywhere else, or if you want to go just to one spot to find all the Beer with Strangers stuff. But also he's here because they're having a big event, and we're both a part of it, and he's here to talk about it. It's the OC Oktoberfest. We've been talking about it the last couple of weeks, but here's a little bit from the horse's mouth. So how long ago did you guys start putting this together? Because I've only come onto it recently, this Oktoberfest.
Sure. The whole idea of doing an October Beer Fest in Ocean City has been floated for probably since we started this whole shore craft beer movement. A couple different entities, a couple different hotels tried to put one together. Then the OCHMRA, Ocean City Hotel Motel Restaurant Association, tried to put one together, and the timing was a little off. So they were going to push theirs back until 2016. But we really thought that there needed to be one now because we have all this great momentum going with shore craft beer and some of the new breweries that are coming, just the rapid rise of beer culture. So we partnered with the town of Ocean City, the Ocean City Development Corporation, and then obviously our company, which is ShoreCraftBeer.com and OceanCity.com, to co-host the first major Ocean City sponsored craft beer festival that there's been some smaller ones. I know Fin City does one every year. The Figures Island people do one every year, a few other smaller ones. But this is really going to be the first ever Ocean City sponsored beer festival, and we're really excited about it. Just to correct you a little bit, Oktoberfest is the overarching Ocean City kind of marketing campaign for the October month. Our beer fest is actually called Shore Craft Beer Fest.
Oh, okay.
It's going to be the first of the annual event. We are going to have only local breweries. I think right now we're slated for 10, maybe 11 of the local guys. We're going to have some food trucks from Rosenfeld's, Big Al's food truck, which is based in Comico, I believe. We're going to have live music from the Nate Clarendon duo, who is pretty well known in the Ocean City area. Acoustic music, very laid back, good for enjoying pints by the bay. Nothing that's going to really detract from the main focus, which is the beer. This festival is going to be unique because it's going to be the first time that we know of that brewers are actually going to be allowed to sell beer for off-site consumption, which means if you come, you can taste the samples that all the breweries have, talk with the brewers like any other beer festival. But if you want to grab beer to go, so you can grab cans or bottles if they're available. You can bring your growlers or pick up a growler there to take home some stuff to enjoy, in your own time.
I wanted to cut you off there for just a second because I'd like to talk a little bit more about a couple of those things before we move on and the list gets too big. What I think it's kind of a coup that Ocean City will have a beer truck, not a beer truck, but Sean is here to join us. The Ocean City will have food trucks, which usually they've been against because it makes the restaurant owners nervous.
It does, and this is kind of the first time ever in Ocean City that food trucks are going to be used in this fashion. Rosenfeld's is actually an Ocean City restaurant who also has a food truck, so I think that could be part of the lack of concern over this. But the other thing is just the food truck and brewery movement really goes hand in hand. I mean, very well, Third Wave has, their food truck guy there every weekend. Across the region, across the country, even there's food trucks partnering with breweries that don't have restaurants or, those kind of things. So these partnerships exist. I think it's about time that we get them in Ocean City. We've got some food trucks that have been popping up here recently. So I think the timing is right for both. And I think it's going to be a great compliment to, the beer that we have there available.
Yeah. And I think that what Ocean City misses about the food truck aspect of things is that food trucks aren't taking away from people who, like, as long as you're not parking them on the boardwalk next to, you know, Thrasher's French Fries, where people want to come up and get stuff. It's not taking away from the proper restaurants. Like, people who go to food trucks don't go to food trucks because they want to sit down. You know what I mean? Like, if you go to a restaurant, you go into a restaurant. If you go into a food truck, it's a quick hit thing. Mm-hmm. And quick hit things aren't, you know, the main part of Ocean City is, you know, is the sitting down. There's not a lot of these quick hit. And, you know, as long as food trucks don't have beer.
Right. Oh, if they did.
So the other thing I wanted to talk about, and we have Sean here, so we can all three of us talk about it, is the contest to name the beers. Like, we've already gotten some traction about that. If you don't know, Sean designed one of the 2 beers that were brewed specifically for the Shorecraft Beer Festival. Am I getting it right? I've been calling it wrong for so long.
Yeah, have you talked about the beer on the show? Because that's the next thing I was going to bring up.
We'll talk about it right now. That's what.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, to make this beer festival extra special, it is Shorecraft Beer Fest.
Thank you.
And to make this the first ever Shorecraft Beer Fest even more memorable, what some of our local breweries and beer community members decided to do was to brew an exclusive OC Toberfest beer for the event, which actually turned out to be 2 OC Toberfest beers. One is one is a breakfast porter. The other is a harvest ale. Sean, I'm not sure which one you designed, but I'm guessing it was one of those 2. So now we're actually, since both have been labeled this OC Toberfest kind of beer, we're now looking to the beer community for help naming these. This beer is only going to be available for the event. The brewers actually did it on home brewing equipment, and they went back to their roots, as we called it. I don't know if you get the air quotes in there, but back to the roots to brew it on home brewing equipment as opposed to the full-scale production stuff that most of these guys work with now. It's a very small batch. It's going to be available. Anyone that attends the festival is going to be able to taste it. You're only going to be able to taste it if you attend the festival. So now we need to come up with names for them that we really, you know, the craft beer names are obviously a big part of branding and things that make the culture fun, and, you know, people really, you know, can rally around a name if it's the right name. So that's what we're looking for now, is someone to come through and give us 2 names for these beers. We can go into a little more specifics after you talk again, but the winner's going to get a free VIP ticket to the beer festival, which includes an extra hour of the tasting, along with the chance to talk with Tony Russo about the history of Eastern Shore beer. So that'd be great. And then they'll also get their names on the signage for the tent where the beer is being poured. So that's cool too. Everyone will know who named the beers.
That's cool. And Sean talked about it a little bit, but I'd like to get you to talk about it with him in case you have any questions. Sean designed the breakfast porter.
Yes,
and
me.
Do you want to talk about how you went through that?
Well, it was I've been kind of tossing the idea around in my head for a while, and so I kind of want to put, you know, I've seen the Founders, I think, has the breakfast stout, and it just kind of tastes like a stout. I kind of want to do something that was very breakfast themed. So I used like a smoked malt to kind of do the bacon part. I used molasses for pancakes. I used oats for oatmeal. I used a new malt we just got for coffee malt, which is pretty self-explanatory on that one. And so hopefully it kind of hits all aspects of it. I haven't got to try it yet. That was the first batch made. Now I made a version of it here to try. So hopefully it's good.
Yeah, and that's the home brewery part. The most home breweryist part of the whole thing is that this is really like, no one will know what it tastes like until it's time to taste it. So.
Yeah, that's the whole point. Is I know, like, as you guys know, have been to many beer festivals. It can get stale just tasting the same thing, especially if you're a local person that's you know, goes to all these breweries and stays up with the new releases and stuff. So we really want to give people an incentive to come, and beyond just being able to meet with the brewers and try some beers that maybe they haven't had, but also give the local people who go to these breweries all the time something really cool that they're going to be able to talk about. And we intend to do this every year at future Shorecraft Beer Fests. I don't know if I mentioned in the intro when we were talking about it. This year it's actually going to be held at Sunset Park, so a little bit smaller of a venue with a smaller limit of people. But the plan is actually, Ocean City has a 5-year plan to turn this into a major festival, with the goal of eventually having it either a convention center or in the sun or the parking lot of the inlet, like they do Sunfest and some of the other big festivals. So I think this is something that could be really cool, that, you know, 3, 4, 5 years from now, you have people looking like, oh, what are they going to do this year for the collaboration, and really be a selling point going forward for our festival. And it's cool to see the brewers work together and really work on something collaborative as opposed to, you know, just doing their own thing in a vacuum. It's neat to see them come together and put this together. So I'm sure it'll taste great.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. The other thing they just mentioned about the collaboration, one of the most recent posts I have on the Short Craft Beer site is about, I was there for the end of I wasn't there for the whole thing because I was in New Jersey, and that was a whole different story. But I was there for the last bit of it, and it was cool to see how easily everyone slipped back into the hanging out portion of homebrewing, because homebrewing is kind of like cooking in that really there's not a lot for more than one person to do. But you want to hang around, so everybody hung around and they did a little thing, but mostly they just got to talk with one another. And a lot of the times these people, they talk with one another just briefly, like, do you have hops? Do you have grain? Can I borrow this tube of some sort? So just to hang out and talk, I think was kind of cool for them. Last night or the night before, I was at Mississippian River Brewing, and he was talking about how when you go to these events, it's cool because usually you just have these conversations. He's very friendly with Randy from RAR, and he's like, they're really good friends, and they both had this major expansion just recently, and they both kind of shopped for equipment together where they would both call the same place and get the different prices so that they could kind of negotiate together.
Nice.
And that kind of relationship is not just built. It's not just a business relationship. It's a personal relationship that includes business, as opposed to a business relationship that just gets a little bit more friendly.
Right.
That's one of the things that work with all these breweries over the last year plus, whatever it is. The collaborative nature of it is really something else here in the street. We spend a lot of time with hotels and restaurants. And, well, they're friends, and they're definitely outside of work. You don't see that kind of collaborative, kind of rising tide floats all boats kind of mentality like you do with the breweries. And it's a national thing. And as you know, talking to people from other craft beer areas and other breweries, that really is something that is a staple of craft beer culture. So to be able to have, give them that opportunity to come together, work together a little bit, and really just have some fun and come up with something creative that we really hope the people that attend this festival are going to enjoy. That was a great experience for us to be able to provide that for them. And then, naturally, the people that come to the festival will be able to reap the rewards as well. And
what was kind of cool about it was Jason, who Weisberg, who runs Assawoman Bay, he had food brought out. And once the food was brought out, then everybody kind of took the party outside.
Yeah.
And it was just him and Adam finishing the cleaning up part.
Oh yeah. Nobody ever, even on a homebrew day, everybody kind of bails when the cleaning starts.
Yeah, the food comes out and the cleaning starts, and
yeah.
And together they. And so, can you tell us about what is it? A Harvest Ale?
A Harvest Ale, I actually don't know much about. I know it had beets in it, and that's about as much as I know about it. I've been crazy swamped with some stuff outside of work and all that, and Doug came to me and said, "Hey, can you come up with a porter recipe?" And I'm going to come up with another one. I did get to eyeball the recipe, and it looked good, but I don't remember a lot of specifics about it. So.
Yeah, the beet aspect is what kind of stands out, I think, for everybody.
The tagline that Doug gave, because Doug sent us some descriptions to use, he said it was brewed with things that are found in and above the ground, so it kind of capture the essence of the harvest. So beets and some, I think, Red X malt he said was in there, and I'm not sure what else.
That was great. We got that earlier this year, and I've tried to incorporate it in the majority of beers I've been making. It's fantastic stuff out of Germany. But I remember the guy that helps us out here occasionally, Ed, he has used beets in beers more than a few times, and it can give you a pretty amazing color along without leaving a lot of too much of a beet taste. You can get a little bit of earthiness out of it.
But it's not real sweet. It's not real.
It all ferments out because beets are nothing but sugar.
Right.
So it just the yeast goes to town on those things.
Oh, that's crazy. So do you feel like this is going to be? Do we know what the gravity, what the alcohol content of this beer
I don't
is?
think he went too high with it. I'm pretty sure that the breakfast one was tipping the scales at around 8%.
Wow.
That pound of molasses really steps it up a lot.
And one of the things that I don't remember from the meeting, and I'd like you to talk about, is the glasses. There was some sort of the commemorative glasses were going to be someplace in the middle between something too small or.
Sure. Yeah, we actually made a decision for the glasses this week, and which I guess it stands to note that anyone who attends the festival will get a commemorative glass. I think it'll be the first 600 people or something, which we'll cap it at that. So make sure you get your tickets sooner than later. But it's going to be a full pint glass, but it's actually going to be a nicer plastic cup because the downtown corporation was a little worried about having full pint glasses around on the concrete in Sunset Park for obvious reasons. So we wanted to do something that kind of took their concerns away. So that's what we did. It's going to have the Short Craft Beer logo or Short Craft Beer Fest logo. I'm not sure yet. It's actually the designer now, so we're still waiting to see what the proofs come back with. But yeah, that's something that's really exciting. We hope to change the cup every year to make it something that people collect like other beer festivals, not just a throwaway thing that you remember once and stick in the back of your closet, but something that people really like to have and like to show off when they have friends over and they're pouring beers or whatever. So
That's cool. I know I've got a collection of ones from different beer festivals like National Homebrew Conference and a Good Beer Fest and some other ones I've been to. Most of the time they're 5-6 ounce glasses, so a pint glass is going to be pretty.
Yeah, I remember when they made that switch a couple years ago when they had the full pint glasses at the Good Beer Fest, and the next year they didn't. So I don't know. I heard something about the liquor board cracked down on them for serving too much.
Well, there was I think this year they're pushing 100 beers, and
oh, wow,
they can get, when you don't have a limit, most people can limit themselves, but occasionally you'll get one or two that just, they want to try everything as soon as possible, and woo,
yeah.
But it's really up to the pourer more than the person getting the beer.
They had that line, but that line got ignored a lot.
Yeah, and that's a lot of beer fests have cracked down on that. I mean, I know at the NHC, National Homebrew Conference, you got you only had a 5 ounce glass, but when I talked to the people, there was just over 1,000 kegs of beer.
Wow.
There, and 1,300 people.
Wow.
So, or no, 3,000 people, 1,000 kegs. So everybody got a third of a keg. So we were all, that was rough. But you got to try so many different ones. I made my mistake on my first beer fest, and since then, when I go, I'm actually the person who, even on a 5 ounce glass, I'm like, that's half. Just let me get a sip. If I like it a lot, I'll come back for more. But for now, I just want to sip.
And so how will the tastings work again at the Short Craft Beer Festival?
They're going to be unlimited tastings with your ticket. You'll get to speak with a lot of the actual brewers, like the men and women who make the beers, will be on hand with us. Some will not, because unfortunately there's another festival in Baltimore that same day that there's some prior engagements at. But the ones that aren't there will have representatives and knowledgeable people that can talk about the beers. So really, I think every brewery is going to bring 2 beers. So you'll have 2 times whatever the amount of people we end up with right now. I think it's at 11 or 10 or 11 right now. We're still looking to add a couple more. And then in addition to the OC Toberfest beers that you guys are going to name that will be available for sample 2. And then as far as the beer to go, we're not sure, but we think people are going to bring beers in addition to what they have for sampling at the festival. So, Evo might bring their lot 3 or something that's a bigger seller or something along those lines. I'm not really sure. We're leaving that up to the individual breweries, whether they want to bring the stuff they're sampling or bring other favorites or whatever. That's all up to them. And luckily, the permit that we have for this festival allows them to make those calls. So.
Very cool. One of the other things that I wanted to ask about was what's the difference besides the pleasure of my presentation? What is the VIP ticket get you?
The VIP ticket will, in addition to getting to hear you yourself talk about the history of beer and some of your stories and anecdotes from around your travels around the breweries, the VIP tickets will get an extra hour of tasting. We've capped the VIP tickets at 100, so it'll be a much more intimate experience. If you really want to speak with a particular brewer or one of the brewmasters or someone who owns a brewery, this would be your best opportunity, because once the full general admission opens up, people are going to be spending a lot more time pouring and will have a lot less time for one-on-one talks.
Right.
They'll also be able to pick up merchandise, any merchandise that is for sale at the festival for that first VIP hour. It's all going to be 50% off. So Short Craft Beer T-shirts, in addition to whatever some of the other stuff the breweries may have. And those are the main perks.
Now, are there Short Craft Beer hats as well, or T-shirts, or? Not
yet. There's shirts available as of now, which will be for sale at the festival. We're a little ways away on hats, maybe one day, but for right now, that's on hold.
I have a Good Beer Festival hat from just the first one. I was going to get one at everyone, but they went so fast that the second one I couldn't get one. So I just have one, but it's like 1,000 years old now. And I like to wear it just because it's like, yes, this is how long ago I bought this hat, whatever, 5 years ago.
I'm just really stoked that Ocean City is kind of, going to, open arms with this. I know sometimes OC can be a little laggy on, trying out new things. So it's great to see them opening up. I mean, it's an amazing opportunity, an amazing place to have one. So definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah, we agree. Our tagline for the site, as you guys know, is world-class beer meets world-class beauty. And it's only, the whole year plus we spent working with all the breweries to kind of get to this point. You're right. It has been a lot of struggles. Some people very much set in their ways, but also a lot of people that really get it, and forward-thinking people who realize that we have a huge opportunity here to elevate our whole culture, elevate our area, bring more tourism, not just in the summer when people are going to the beach, but in the off season and the shoulder seasons. It attracts different clientele that isn't necessarily always associated with Ocean City. Some of the more high class clientele that typically goes to Rehoboth or Bethany or some of those other Delaware beaches. We see craft beer as a way to kind of get some of them to start coming to Ocean City. So, it was a hard process getting them on board. Not hard, tedious, I guess, and a long, thought-out process. But I think the rewards having them on board is definitely going to be huge, and I think the town itself is going to reap a lot of rewards from embracing it.
And the October is just a very, very busy month generally, but people are in, I think, rather than like competing there. I mean, we do have this one that we bumped up against, but people are in, beer festival mode. Like I'm gonna go to at least 3. I've got one little tiny one in Berlin. We're having one of the other 30 podcasts I do is having a fall beer tasting at Todd, the Hearts place. So I'm doing that on Sunday, and then the following Sunday I'll be at the Good Beer Festival, and then the following Saturday I'll be at the Shore Craft Beer Fest, and I'll be talking beer, and it's weird. I recently spoke at a library, and no one showed up. Like there was this thing, maybe 8 people showed up, and they promoted it pretty heavily. And afterwards, I'm just trying to make myself feel better, but afterwards, like they were apologetic. They were like, one of the people were like, "That was such a good talk. I wish more people had come to hear it." So hopefully we'll get the word out in time for this, and more people get to hear it.
Well, I think having the town of Ocean City promote this will be huge in that effort. Kind of one time back to something you just said about October and the whole beer festival kind of sentiment. I don't know if this is something you talked about on your show or not, but one of the other things that Shore Craft Beer has been able to lead the charge on is getting October designated officially as Shore Craft Beer Month across the many counties of the Eastern Shore, not quite all of them, but Worcester County, Wycomico County, I believe Somerset County, and Caroline County are the ones that I know for sure have all designated officially. A few others have designated unofficially. But so be on the lookout around those counties for different events tied to craft beer. Ocean City Restaurant Week, which is a big event in October, is going to be strictly tied to craft beer this year. It's be craft beer themed with offering menus, or the menus are going to feature pairings and cooking with craft beer. So just one more thing Ocean City is really doing, kind of jump on board and really tie all this together and bring it full circle.
Yeah, and have you been to Federalsburg yet? I haven't, so I was just curious.
I have not been there. No, we've been in talks with them. We've spoken through email a few times, but I've not actually gotten another brewery. Are they actually open for business now?
I believe they are open in
for
Federalsburg.
Beer, I don't think. I know
they're selling other people's beers, but not their own.
I know they were trying to do like a restaurant, coffee, beer thing. As far as I know, they're not doing their own beer yet.
All right.
Now, I could be completely wrong, but I haven't actually spoke to either one of them in a while now, so I am not sure.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. And speaking of Caroline County, I know you probably know this, but it's worth mentioning if not, since we mentioned them, that Market Street Public House, the Irish restaurant in Denton, is actually brewing their own beer now on premise, and they're going to be one of the people coming to the festival. They're going to be hosting some events up in the Denton area during Shore Craft Beer Month as well. So, if you're up in that area, be sure to check them out. I've not gotten to their brewery yet. I actually worked for them when I was younger in college briefly, but I've not gotten there back home to try the beer yet. So, looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing them at the festival and seeing what they do going forward with their beer program.
One of our customers actually made a beer with them and had it on tap, and they are going through beer very quickly there. Like they get a keg on and it's gone almost immediately. So that's great for them. Good news. So.
And one of the things we're gonna not talk about this time because we talked about other things. But one of the things that we've been talking about a lot on here is the rise of the brew pub, and there are some more coming up. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but Mississippian's probably going to open 2 in the next 6 months or so. Not there; they'll open 2 in other parts of Delaware with different names. And our friends at Chesapeake Bay Brewing are opening one in Annapolis in February or March. And I was talking to the brewer at Mississippian. Ryan, I almost called him Mark, but his name is Ryan, and he was saying that how easy it is to do small batch beer in a restaurant, because one of the things Sean and I hit on almost every time we talk about this is that it's mind-boggling that there are any independent restaurants that aren't at least making their own house beer, 1 or 2. A brown one and a yellow one, just something that's craft and a higher quality, but also that's unoffensive. That's something that a pale ale and a porter that anybody can drink. And he was saying that a restaurant could get out the door for maybe $70,000, and that they would make that back the first year. They would literally just pour that the first year, and whoever was doing the brewing would pay for themselves over the course of 1 year, just doing the brewing in the restaurant and not distributing at all, just in the restaurant for the restaurant as a house beer.
The profit margin on beer is just outrageously awesome anyway. Even craft beer, you're using a lot better ingredients and stuff like that, but there's still a lot of profit to be made, especially, in the middle of a craft beer boom that we're having.
Right.
So,
kind of going hand in hand with that, I think you're right. I think we can start seeing more and more places try to brew their own beer. Even this year, we saw the rise of really labeled beers. As you know, like Tropicale, Secrets is maybe
right.
And Third Wave does one for Buxy's, and OC Brewing did one for, I think it was Coconut. So you're starting to see that kind of, okay, we need a house beer. But I think you're right. I think more and more probably, especially as the boom continues and beer culture continues to grow, and the more it grows, probably more people will take interest in home brewing and stuff like that. I think you're right that what Public House is doing will probably be more the norm. I think you'll see more places start to brew their own, and like you said, huge profit saver, fun. It's a good selling point with all the different, this boom going on. So all around win-win. So.
Very cool. And we're going to get ready to wrap it up here because we're coming right up on the half-hour mark. And I've just discovered how to use the cameraman function, so I don't know if I'm using it well or poorly, but we're going to find out. I'm going to watch this, and then the next time I'll even get it right. So I don't know how much, for those of you who watched along or who will watch along in the future, if you saw people just sitting silently looking at the screen, I apologize. I've got it figured out now, and we'll do better next time. So things coming up. We have classes here. Do you have classes here?
Yes.
So
I don't know the dates, but yes, we do. I think there's a introduction to brewing on October 15th, which is a Thursday. Typically runs 6 to 8:30. And I'm pretty sure there's a winemaking one in there somewhere. And
as always, if you want to learn how to make beer, you can always reach out to extremebrewing.com with four or more people. They'll do a private class for you. Just arrange it in advance, and that's easily done. As for me, I will be broadcasting from here or from goodcleanfunlife.com on Sunday afternoon for the fall beer tasting. And you can catch that there, and we'll be doing a Q&A if anybody's on to do a Q&A. If not, just tune in, and you can catch it at any time. And you can find what I do here on extremebrewing.com, extremebrewing.com, or extremebrewing.com, and at shorecraftbeer.com under the Tony Russo State of the Beer blog. So the video is on both. The audio you can find for now on extremebrewing.com or by searching your iTunes store for Beer with Strangers. And of course we have things coming up there. Anthony, you want to talk about one more time on the plug for the
Sure. I was going to say, if you would like to enter our Name That Beer contest, it's open through October 16th. Just go to the Shore Craft Beer Facebook page, which is facebook.com/shorecraftbeer. You'll see the post pinned to the top of our newsfeed. You can just submit your entry there. We've got descriptions of the beers that go into it to help you kind of come with an idea and kind of maybe spark some creative activity. And then also, if you want to go to pick up your tickets now for Shore Craft Beer Fest, you can pick those up now at shorecraftbeerfest.com. VIP tickets, general admission, and also designated driver tickets are all available for purchase there. There's also some hotel packages there if anyone from here happens to be watching from out of market and plans to come down to stay. A couple of the hotels are putting together packages just for the event. So
very cool. And is there transportation from the hotels? Did that work out to?
That I'm not sure of. I know they're working on putting some shuttles together and stuff. I'm not sure where that stands, so I can't commit one way or the other on that. Tentatively, yes, but not officially. Very
cool. Well, stay tuned. Any questions, again, you can direct them. And also you can follow us on any of the social media that you're least likely to ignore. And that'll do it. We will be back next week with many of the stories we didn't talk about this week and also some of the stories that haven't happened yet. So thank you, Anthony, for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Good to see you guys again.
Yeah, take it easy, man.
And we will see you next week.
See you guys.